Podcast City Network.
Hey guys, this is Chris and Craig here with another exciting episode of Final Score. And what's crazy about this is that it's a little dark outside.
It's a little dark. We got a special Friday night edition.
That's right, special Friday night edition, episode 43 of Final Score here on Facebook Live, and it's pretty exciting. Doing some little new things, a little on the technical side.
Yeah, that's my fault. I'm sorry. It's my fault.
It's okay.
You know, I only have to work like once every 6 months. For actual work, so that happens to be that weekend.
Oh, things happen, but you know what? We have day jobs, and if you want to help us be able to reach the next level where we can maybe one day make this our full-time job, you have to actually support the show. So share it with your friends, tell everybody you know, let your grandma know, even if it gets us one like, I'll take it.
Hi, Grandma.
Hi, Grandma.
She likes the show. My grandma likes the show. Hi.
That's awesome. That's commitment right there.
My mother probably likes and comments all of our stuff, so thank you. Thanks, Mom.
We thank all of you.
Appreciate it.
Very much so. But again, we do have an exciting episode. There's a lot to talk about tonight. We have things going on, including the College Football National Championship coming up in not too much longer. But to make sure that you see all the things when we talk about this, you have to follow us on social media. And, it's right there, right above us.
Right up here.
Right over here. At PCN Final Score on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Go on, give us a like, give us a follow, leave us a comment, and real importantly, leave us a rating. Let us know how we're doing, and invite your friends. Share it with your friends. Let everybody know about Final Score, because we try to bring you the very latest in sports news, and we just do what we can.
Yeah, we like to have fun on the show. I mean, but like you said, the only way we can get better is we like to hear from you. So we do have a good amount of interaction on Twitter, Facebook, and even a little bit on our Instagram, which is great. It's always good. We really appreciate all the feedback, always, all the comments. We do this for fun because we love it.
We do. We really do.
We appreciate your feedback.
Definitely. And to make sure you keep up on all the latest episodes, including episode 43, make sure that you go on to all of our myriad of content platforms, including YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio.
They're up, right?
TuneIn, Podbean, Stitcher, and of course, Google Podcasts. Right down here. There's the arrows.
Right down here. I'll be the Vanna over here.
There you go. That's right.
Vanna White.
You do so great.
Thank you. You're the real MVP.
Real MVP.
I just have less hair.
You said it, not me, and I was actually going to make a ball joke, but you know what? You did it for me, so I don't have to worry about it now. But also, there's something special about today. You know what that is?
What's today?
The 2nd year anniversary of Podcast City Network.
That's today officially.
Officially. We have to give that shout out.
Happy birthday to the network.
Happy birthday to the network. Big shout out to the network, Podcast City Network. Make sure to follow them on their myriad of social media platforms, which we don't talk about a whole lot. At Podcast City Network on Facebook, at Podcast City Net on Twitter. So definitely go check that out. And of course,
very cool thing we're doing for our 2-year anniversary show. If you don't follow us on Facebook, we're actually doing a huge event with a local I guess pretty famous rock band that's from around here.
It's the one and only Seven Kingdoms.
Seven Kingdoms, if you're familiar with hard rock music.
Yes, power metal to be more specific.
Power metal.
That's right.
I do not listen anymore.
They will power metalize your ass.
I can't.
That's what they're all about. But either way, though, great show at our at one of our greatest spots that we have at City Limits Tap Room.
Absolutely.
In North DeLand. Definitely make sure you come out. It'll be March 7th, 2020. Doors will be at 7, music at 8. And, during all that, there'll also be draft day. So definitely check that out. That's going to be awesome. We got to host one of those once.
Yeah, we did. We got to host draft day one earlier last year.
Yeah,
it was fun.
Yeah, it was a good fun time. Real good fun time.
We're actually doing a really cool giveaway for the 2-year show. So all you got to do is you got to go like Podcast City Network on Facebook, follow them on Twitter. We want to try to gain some followers so we can gain more of a reach. We want to try to reach all the local Florida podcasts. Mm-hmm. We have podcasts from all over the country.
Really,
but we're trying to grow here in Florida, and the giveaway we have is we want you to tag or let us know what's your favorite, most dedicated local Florida podcast. And we are going to talk with the we're going to talk with Chris Carnage first because we got to be careful.
Yeah, because Chris Carnage apparently is playing a large role at this event.
He will be there.
Yes.
He's hosting it.
The music promoter asked him specifically to do this, so it's going to be a big time.
But we're working with him to get 3 podcasts. 3 podcasts. We're going to bring him to the event, VIP. We're going to cover everything for him, basically.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, so if go ahead and like Podcast City Network on Facebook, Twitter, and start sharing. Let's find the great local podcasts here in Florida.
Absolutely.
And we're going to bring them and show them a good time at the 2-year show.
Exactly. So at PCN Final Score, make sure that you can find us there. Excuse me, but a lot of great stuff going on, and it's really cool to see the kind of progress Podcast City Network has made.
Absolutely.
And it's helped us make the progress that we've made here, and a lot of progress has been made this college football season. So let's get back to the show. We're definitely going to talk a little about this college football national championship game that's going to be happening Monday, January 13th at 8 p.m. in the Superdome.
Basically a home game for LSU.
Basically a home game, which is the craziest part of this because this is going to be a very biased crowd. And
absolutely.
But you have the battle of two 14-0 teams, SEC champion versus ACC champion. This is going to be a crazy game.
Yeah, LSU's favored by 6 right now. The over-under is set, I believe, at 69, I think it was. But what we're looking at for LSU is looking for their first perfect season in 61 years. Last time they did that was the 50s, and they went 11-0 for their first ever school national championship. So they're trying to replicate, 69.5 for the over-under. But they're looking for their first perfect season in 61 years. They've also had quite the road this year. They've beaten 6, count them, 6 top 10 teams when they matched up and were both ranked in the top 10.
6 times.
Clemson has only seen 1 team ranked in the top 10. And that was Ohio State in the college football semis.
Which, obviously, that was a very classic and epic game for both Clemson and Ohio State. However, Clemson is scoring a 29 straight game winning streak, seeking their 3rd national championship in 4 years. They're trying to become the more modern-day Alabama now. And they, since losing the 2012 Orange Bowl to West Virginia, 70-33, let's remember that game.
Yeah,
so
that
crazy
was,
to think Clemson could even be owned like that in any type of manner,
right?
Especially given what we've seen. They are 103-11 while going 9-2 in bowl games and college football playoff games, and those 2 losses both were to Alabama for the national title. So it's crazy to see the maturation of this program to where they are now under Dabo Swinney.
Yeah, what he's done to that program has been nothing short of amazing. Especially in this day and age where kids go, all these high school athletes can go anywhere in the country.
Anywhere.
You see these big programs. Dabo had to build up Clemson to what it is now. It's not like he didn't have the fanfare and the lore of a Nick Saban or Les Miles when he was at LSU, or take your pick.
There's so many different ones. Even if you want to go back to the Bear Bryants or to all these the Ara Parsegians of the world, they really impacted the sport.
Yeah, Clemson wasn't really a big storied name like the Alabama teams or even like the Notre Dames, the Michigans, the USCs. They didn't have that blue blood.
That's right.
Dabo Swinney has literally built that program from the ground up, and it is amazing to see what he's done in those years since that Orange Bowl loss.
Yeah, absolutely infusing it with purple blood, known as the Clemson Tigers. And it's been absolutely amazing with the hard-nosed recruiting and being able to get the very best. Dabo Swinney is such an amazing recruiter, and he always tries to keep the very best with his coordinators and a lot of his assistants coaches, really being able to have a lot of influence, being able to pull all the great recruits, including Trevor Lawrence, who is currently 28-0.
Hasn't lost. Yeah, not lost since he was in high school.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy.
To start your college career undefeated like that. I don't think we'll ever see that again.
But with this game, I feel like we have to look at the matchup of the game. The matchup of the game is going to be this Clemson defense against this LSU offense. This LSU offense is absolutely amazing in every sense of the word because you have Joe Burrow, the Heisman Trophy winner, who absolutely, let's keep in mind, absolutely decimated Oklahoma. Decimated. 63-28, set every offensive record you can think of in bowl and college football playoff games. And
all SEC passing records. He shattered them all.
All of them. Every single one of them. And accounted for 8 touchdowns, 7 passing in the first half. Absolutely crazy. But I think we'll get a stiffer matchup because we know how Big 12 defenses can be. LSU is now going to go up a much tougher defense in Clemson.
Yeah, Clemson's defense, surprisingly for how good they were last year and all those NFL draft picks they had, a lot of people thought that they would kind of take a little bit of a step back. Maybe not a great step back, but they're actually statistically better than they were last year, which is really saying a lot. I mean, their defense is number 2 overall in the country. Their passing offense is tops in the country.
Absolutely.
They've allowed the fewest points of any team. They've only allowed 11.5 points a game. And their second fewest yards in the country, just over 250 yards.
Well, they're going to need every single bit of that because this LSU offense is absolutely dominant. They are the number 1 overall offense in the entire NCAA and number 2 in passing, thanks to the great arm of Joe Burrow, where they're averaging almost 400 yards a game.
That's insane. We were looking that stat up before we went on air, and as soon as I said it, you're like, you got to write that down. Like, you got to put that in the notes.
That's too disgusting. Like, Joe Burrow's been a one-man army.
400 yards passing in one game is like, okay, yeah, that's a great game.
Oh,
but
great
to
game.
average that for a whole season.
And they're 14-0.
Yeah.
So it's just absolutely amazing. And they've been averaging almost 49 points a game, 7 touchdowns a game. It's absolutely insane. Joe Burrow, 5,200 yards passing, 55 touchdowns, 6 picks, 204.6 rating. Absolutely amazing what he's been able to do for the Tigers.
Absolutely. And that's going to be the big matchup. Of course, LSU's defense going up against Trevor Lawrence is also going to be a big matchup, but it's not nearly going to be as big as this right here. And I think it's going to be a dueling, a shootout, if you will. It's going to be Lawrence versus Burrow. Each offense is going to be Etienne versus that LSU run defense that's really struggled. But the big thing is, can Joe Burrow, now up against the best defense he's seen in the country this year, can he do what he just did against Oklahoma? I think they'll put up some points, but I think it's going to be a closer game. I know a lot of experts are really picking this to be a close game. You, on the other hand, think it's going to go in an entirely different direction.
Yes, I think Joe Burrow is going to prove why he is your Heisman Trophy winner, and we know how stellar SEC defenses can be. Obviously, LSU, wasn't super top of the line in some areas, but hey, they got the job done where it mattered. And at the end of the day, LSU is not only going to come in and win this game, they're going to dominate this game 42-24.
Wow.
Mark my words.
42-24.
Yes, absolutely. LSU is going to dominate, go to 15-0, and become the second team to go 15-0 and win the national championship.
Well, I'm with you on that part. I think LSU will win this game, but I think it's going to be a lot closer. I'm seeing like a 35-31 type score. And I know a lot of the experts are talking about this game is going to be in the mid to high 30s. I was thinking this game could get in the 40s if we're really not defenses really aren't careful. But I think it's going to be a really close game. It's going to come down to that last few possessions of the fourth quarter and before this thing actually gets wrapped up. But I do take LSU. I think they're going to win the national championship, and Clemson's still going to be one of the top programs in the country. Yes. But I don't think they get their third national championship in 4 years.
I just don't think Clemson's going to have enough. Dabo's, and nothing against Clemson. Clemson's an amazing team. They've been able to pump out great recruits, great NFL talent, been able to, it's funny, actually, speaking of NFL talent real quick, I saw a picture the other day of Sammy Watkins and DeAndre Hopkins when they're both at Clemson. Absolutely great picture because it made me really think back to those days of Clemson where really a lot of this started with Dabo Swinney in this program. It's real great to see what they've done, but it's not going to be enough against LSU. Just not. But there's other things that are supposed to be happening this weekend as well, because now we're moving on to some NFL news with the wild card round. What a crazy amount of football we had.
Yeah, we had 2 overtime games and a couple of upsets, really. I mean, you're looking at the AFC, the Texans, they were down at halftime to the Bills. The Bills had this game wrapped up, and then for some reason, I thought the funniest thing I saw on the internet, of course, this is a very, very, kind of, hit to the head for me. The Bills went full Detroit Lions in the second half.
Yes, they did.
They went full Detroit Lions. You never go full Detroit Lions. You never go full Detroit Lions. They blow the lead. They blow the game. It goes into overtime. Texans win 22-19 to move on to the next round. And then the other game, a big shocker. Somebody on this set called it.
You did.
Titans go into Foxborough. They beat the Patriots 28-17. 20-13. Icing on the cake. Brady throws a pick six to end the game. Titans move on, and now the big question is what happens with Brady. There's a lot of rumors that he said already he wants to play.
Yes.
But does New England want him back? You know Robert Kraft wants him back.
Well, of course, but we're going to touch on that a little bit more later. But with this game, with how it ended, I feel like Tom Brady, there's a lot more to be desired now. You don't want your whole career to end that way, especially on a pick six to a former teammate. So I think you know what? I'm going to save my thoughts for later on when we get to that part of the show.
Okay.
But on the NFC side of things, you had the number 6 seeded Vikings at 10-6 in the wild card, traveling down to the Superdome to take on the Saints, who end up being pushed out of a first round bye, but 13-3 nonetheless, NFC South champions. And this game was epic all the way through and had a controversial finish.
As it always does when it comes to the New Orleans Saints. It just seems like it's almost destined to happen almost every single big game in the Saints' recent history. I don't know what they did to upset the referees multiple years ago, but it seems like they're on the rough end of a lot of these calls. But how do you like the Vikings now? I mean, they come in. Kirk Cousins hasn't beaten a good team on the road, let alone in a pressure situation. He goes in. You like that? You like that? Kirk Cousins on the road
with his first, I can't believe I'm saying it, first playoff win in his career.
Yeah, he's only had 2 games though. That's another thing. He's only had 2 games.
But look how much he's battled to even get to the playoffs. It takes him so much heroic efforts.
What's to you? What's the bigger story? The fact that Kirk Cousins won his first playoff game in a pressure situation, or the fact that the Saints lost this game and it's the bigger disappointment?
Actually, you know what my biggest disappointment with this game is? And I know this is something I've probably harped on a lot this season, whether it be
I know what it is.
College football or NFL, but reffing has again, for the second year in a row now, and funny enough, in the Superdome against the Saints,
that
reffing has decided the outcome of this game. Because
I'm telling you, man, they got a vendetta against the Saints.
I think they do, and I don't know if it stems from Bountygate back in the day, or maybe they just don't like Sean Payton, or maybe they just don't like the entirety of ownership. I don't know. At the end of the day, you have Kyle Rudolph, which I am now coining, and I'm glad I came up with this one. I'm now coining the Rudolph push-off.
Rudolph push-off.
The Rudolph push-off to be able to get the touchdown catch to win the game. And you look at the video, and Kyle Rudolph pushes right off the front chest of the defender, and you see his head snap back. That is classic pass interference, in my opinion. Obviously, some disagree with me.
I'm with you. I'm not disagreeing.
Well, I'm not saying you, but in general.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's just ridiculous that the NFL is not taking any kind of action to be able to better the referee program to get to a point where you have less of these issues happen.
They don't care, baby. It's all about the money.
They ain't Johnny Football, bruh.
Well, I'm mixing 2 things here together.
Are you? Was it just, you rubbing boogers in between your fingers? What are you doing over here?
No. Baby.
You're killing me.
Kawhi Leonard.
You're killing me.
And Johnny Manziel at the same time.
Look at you. You're trying cross-promoting with the sports. I love it.
You damn right I am. No, they don't care because they only care about the money. That's that's all they care about. It's always been what the NFL cares about. Goodell wants to protect the shield. He wants to protect his assets, and his asset is the fact that people will still tune in every single week, spend the money on tickets. There's no stopping it. Unless people actually physically stop going to games and watching it on TV.
Honestly, you want to make more money, make it more fair, and draw more interest with fair games? Or would you rather take this action of not dealing with this type of situation that's going to spiral out of control and force fans away because they're going to lose interest? But the big thing I see, how you solve it? Just make the rest full time. Train them year round, and you never have a problem.
I have proposed that on a past show.
You have, and I remember.
But I mean, the only way it'll happen is you got to people have to start treating the NFL like the old 1.0 XFL, where you just stop watching. Just stop watching. If you stop watching,
it goes away.
It'll go away. Like the problems will start. They'll actually start fixing problems because they'll go, oh, people aren't watching and the ratings are down, and oh, people are stopping to go to the games. Well, now you're really going to hear it from the owners. Like, how do we fix this?
Yes.
Is that going to happen? Absolutely not.
I don't know. We'll see. I don't think a lot of things could change in the future, but there was one other game, and that was the Seattle Seahawks traveling into Philadelphia for another matchup and yet more controversy. However, still was a good game moving forward, and even more news came out today from this game with quarterback Josh McCown. So it's very interesting to see how this worked out. The Seahawks ended up going in and winning this game 17-9. Same score they had during the regular season, but Carson Wentz was knocked out after the first 8 plays after a what I'm calling dirty hit from Jadeveon Clowney, where you see Jadeveon Clowney come in, dive his head down, come down with the crown of his helmet, make contact with the back of Carson Wentz's head, and ping-pongs him off the ground.
And this kind of goes back to what we've said on previous episodes where the NFL, clearly, they say they're all about player safety. Clearly, they don't give a shit. They do not care at all, because if they did, they would have done something about that play and all the other plays that have happened in previous, even this year, some of the dirty hits that have happened, or even even in the past years. If they really cared, they would actually do something about it. But again, it's all about the Benjamins. They don't care.
Yeah, and it's absolutely ridiculous because now you have a player who's a prominent player, which bravo to Carson Wentz being able to recognize something was obviously wrong, which after getting your bell rung like that, I don't know how you could, miss that fact. But he was able to take himself out, get evaluated by an independent neurologist that they had on staff there at the field, and it ended up being taken out of the game. Got taken back in the locker room and ruled out. But Josh McCown, got to give you props, bro. You stepped in for your first playoff game and had a heroic effort. However, you don't have the athletic ability of Carson Wentz, but found out today in a report that was released, he actually tore his hamstring in the first half of the game and played the whole second half with the torn hamstring. So really hats off to you for trying to truck it through.
From what what I'm pretty sure I read is that it was removed from the bone, correct?
Yes, from the bone.
Are you talking about from his pelvis?
No, it was apparently from the. I thought it was on the lower side of his leg, but
okay.
I'm not 100%. They just generally said that's what it was. But usually, with some of the hits he was taking, because he was also trying to get on the run a lot, and getting wrapped up and hit kind of hard. It might have been lower, upper, but either way, you tore your hamstring. Like that hurts.
Yeah, I mean, anytime that you're back up and you got to assume that you're going to play when something like this potentially could happen. Mm-hmm. But with Carson Wentz. You can't say that he's injury prone, and I know Dan Orlovsky's been all over people on Twitter for this, and rightfully so. It's not Carson Wentz's fault that he was the victim of a dirty hit, but I'm so happy that he not only decided that, hey, something's wrong, but went to an independent neurologist that's on the sideline. Mm-hmm. I guarantee you what would have happened. NFL medical staff would have went, no, he's good. And then send him back in because it's a playoff game. Not saying that's what would have happened, but that's what we've heard in the past. Look at Trent Williams in Washington. He refused to play this year because of the medical team that the NFL, that the Redskins have, and he wanted them gone because they kept pushing guys out there when they weren't ready.
Yeah,
but that's what the team doctors are hired for. Just get you ready to go back on the field, and that's all that matters. They don't care ultimately, but some of them will, but some others don't. They don't ultimately care about your health. They care about who they're getting paid by, which is the team. You got to be back out there.
Exactly, and you got to try, and they try to force it out because it's the business of football. But I'm glad that teams now are taking the better approach of being able to have these type of experts, independent of the teams, independent of the NFL, come in and be able to help in these types of times, especially in huge moments like this. This is the playoffs, so it's very sad, obviously, with Carson Wentz coming out. The big question of what could have happened, what if, but sadly, the Eagles were sent home, and hey, at least we're NFC East champions. Beat out the Cowboys.
There you go. I mean, I don't think even much was expected of the Eagles, especially after all the injury they sustained. But the fact that they came back, won the NFC East, and got to host a playoff game, that's already a win in and of itself.
And we only lost by 8, honestly.
Right.
So, and we lost our starting quarterback in the process as well. So, hats off to them, and hey, we'll get them next year. It'll be all right. But we got to look at the divisional round going on this weekend. There's so much going to be going on. It's going to be absolutely insane. I think we're going to have some really good games this weekend. Yeah,
absolutely. Starting on Saturday, we've got the Vikings, who did have that overtime game against the Saints. They won. They're going out west to play the 49ers and that tough defense. Niners finished 13-3. They're favored by 7 points at home. It's going to be a 4:35 game on NBC. Over-unders at 44.5. What do you think the big matchup's going to be in this game?
Honestly, with this, it's going to be, can Kirk Cousins replicate what he did on offense against this very vaunted 49ers defense? Because at the end of the day, this 49ers defense has been absolutely dominant with Nick Bosa, who's been able to come in as a rookie and absolutely dominate. Seriously dominate. And of course, Quan Alexander is now also going to be available for this game as announced earlier today. So it's going to be really great to see what this defense is going to do to this offense.
Bosa's been no Josh Allen, but wait, he wasn't even on the Rookie of the Year list. Oh, never mind. Sorry. Wrong team apparently. But yeah, I'm absolutely with you. The 49ers defense is second overall in the NFL. They're first against the pass. They're 17th against the run, but that's where I think the Vikings have to kind of leverage what they're good at. They're great on the ground, and the 49ers aren't really that great against the run. Vikings are number 6 in the NFL, and they're averaging where is it? I got it right here. 133 yards per game on the ground for their offense. So that's going to be a big matchup. I mean, like you said, can Kirk Cousins do it again on the road in a tough environment against that vaunted defense? I don't think he can do it. I think the 49ers will put a stop to it. Not only is their defense vaunted, they have the number 4 offense in the league. They're number 2 in the run. Garoppolo's been playing well. He hasn't really turned the ball over a lot. He's had 13 picks, but he hasn't he's been making plays when he's needed. And
that's the thing, is that he even came up with big plays in games that nobody expected him to. Funny enough, and I feel like we're beating up on them today, the New Orleans Saints, when they had their epic showdown that ended in dramatic fashion down in the Superdome late this season. So it's really crazy to see how this is matched up when Garoppolo is able to be put in these pressure situations. 9 times out of 10, he's been stepping up. But the big question is, who wins this game?
I'm taking the Niners. I think it'll be a decently close game, but it'll be it'll probably be like a 28-17 type game.
Yeah, I had the 49ers taking this one as well. I don't think Kirk Cousins is going to be able to step in and do it twice. This defense is really going to hold him down, and I think the 49ers are going to move the ball a little bit better than people expect. So I actually have this ending as a 28-13 game. So definitely going to be kind of interesting, and we'll see how this one plays out, but 49ers definitely going to have that home field advantage.
Next game on Saturday, number 6 seeded Titans, 9-7. They had that big road win against the Patriots, traveling to the number 1 seed in the AFC, the Baltimore Ravens at 14-2. Right now, the Ravens are favored at 9.5. It's 8:15 on CBS. What's the big matchup for this game?
You have to stop Lamar Jackson. That's what this whole game is going to come down to. Can this Titans defense pull some magic out and stop this Ravens offense? Everything's going to be about Lamar Jackson and Mark Ingram, Mark Ingram just recently got ruled that he will be playing in this game.
Play. Yep.
So a huge boon for them. So if the Titans hope to hang in here, they're going to hope that Ryan Tannehill and more importantly, Derrick Henry can get this ball moving to be able to even keep up with the Ravens offensively, because the Ravens are going to move this ball up and down the field at will.
Yep, and that's the matchup. I would look at, is the offense of the Titans versus the Ravens defense. Talked about Derrick Henry, NFL rushing leader. That team is 3rd in the league in rushing. This is the first. I think they said this is the first time that the NFL rushing leader and the leading team in the rushing meet in the playoffs, which is a really odd stat because usually those two go hand in hand.
But what's crazy, though, with the Ravens is that they're only allowing 93 yards a game. This is the 5th best rushing defense in the league and the 4th best in yards allowed. Yeah. So it's really crazy to see what this team's been able to do, especially with the Ravens absolutely dominating offensively. So this is a perfectly balanced team, I feel like, but it's going to be interesting. And also, 5 Heisman Trophy winners will be playing in this game.
That's absurd.
Yes.
That's absurd.
Yes. So it's going to be, I think, a really great game.
Yep. It's going to be those two matchups. Can the Titans stop Lamar Jackson and can they get Derrick Henry running in this game? If they can do that, they can control. They can keep it really close. I see the Ravens winning this game. I think it's going to end up being like a 2-score game again, just kind of like the 49ers. I think I'll probably put it at like probably like a 24-13 game. Play a 24-13 game.
That's nice. You're a nice guy. You know why? because that's not what's going to happen. The Ravens are going to go out there and they're going to dominate because they're not going to be able to stop Lamar Jackson. They're not going to be able to start Mark Ingram. This defense is just going to make Ryan Tannehill look like a puny man.
So they're going to bring him back down to earth, is what you're saying?
Yeah, well, they're going to bring him back down to Miami levels at least, But at
Miami levels, that's a good one.
Miami levels. But Derrick Henry, though, I think will still have a good game. I think he'll still get over 100 yards. He's still going to get a touchdown, and it's still going to be all centered around Derrick Henry. At the end of the day, I'm calling this Ravens 38, Titans 17.
I could see that too. I really could. I mean, this Ravens team is they're playing at a level like I don't think any of us have ever seen out of a team on all phases, like both sides of the ball.
Right.
So I could absolutely see that happening.
Yeah, definitely. But in our next game, our Sunday games, first game is going to be our number 4 seeded Houston Texans at 11-6, traveling to the number 2 seeded Kansas City Chiefs. And this game is going to be a great one. Kansas City 12-4, got the first round bye, has been able to rest up to get ready for this game. It's going to be January 12th, 3:05 p.m. on CBS out of Arrowhead. Man, this one's going to be good. What do you think the matchup is in this game?
The matchup's it's a quarterback duel. This is going to be this is going to be a quarterback duel. Earlier this year, the Texans actually played and beat the Chiefs at Arrowhead, mind you.
Yes, they did.
That was a big game. And I think this matchup, this one probably goes the other way because you're looking at, this is in January. I mean, the game that they had last weekend against the Bills, to have to come back and beat the Bills, who had a good defense. Surprisingly, the Chiefs defense, top 10 in passing defense. They're number 8 against the pass, which is a big thing because the Texans offense is 15th against the passing the football. So
right.
I think that matchup is going to be really intriguing because they are getting I'm forgetting who they're getting somebody back on defense. I forget who it is off the top of my head, but they're getting healthier, and the Chiefs, I think their offense against that weak Texans defense, even though they got J.J. Watt back, I think that'll be the big matchup.
Well, let's not forget
quarterback duel.
Let's not forget that J.J. Watt though was very effective last week against Buffalo, so it's something to keep in mind. But I think injuries is really what's going to play into this. Will Fuller is questionable. Jonathan Joseph, cornerback, questionable. Keon Crossan, cornerback, questionable. Jordan Atkins, tight end, questionable. So it's really interesting to see how this, even Kenny Stills, questionable. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. But Kansas City, while a lot less, Morris Claiborne, one of their star corners, will be out. Did not practice all week. Travis Kelce is carrying a questionable designation after only being able to practice in a limited capacity all week. And Chris Jones, one of their defensive tackles, a nice rotational player, did not practice on Friday. He is questionable. So it's going to be interesting to see how those types of injuries could impact. I think if Houston is at full strength, especially with the wide receivers and have Kenny Stills and Will Fuller available for this game, that this offense could be so dynamic that they will be able to score almost at will. And this, I think, like you said, will be a quarterback duel that'll end in a complete shootout.
Yeah, and because of that, so the last time these two teams met, it was 31-24 Houston. I think it'll be the same thing but flipped. I think the Chiefs take this at home, 31-24 over the Texans. They get their revenge when it counts, and they move on to the AFC Championship.
Oh, man. This game, though, it's going to be very high scoring. It's going to be very exciting. But I'm going to saying it right now. You ready for this? Kansas City Chiefs are going to win this game 35-34.
Oh, okay. So you're going really high.
Absolute nail biter.
Okay.
Yeah, they're going to combine for 69 points. It's going to be absolutely amazing. But we'll definitely see what happens in that game. I can't wait to actually watch it. But there is one more game on our slate, and that is the number 5 seeded Seattle Seahawks at 12-5, traveling into the frozen tundra to play the Green Bay Packers, currently 13-3, had their first round bye. It'll be January 12th, 6:40 p.m. on Fox at Lambeau. Man, this is going to be quite the game, and there's a lot of snow expected for this. People at Lambeau are already hiring people, trying to get the fans in the stadium to try and shovel all this snow for them.
They seem to do this every year. Every time they play a game in December, January in Green Bay, they always get a bunch of snow before the game. They got people in there shoveling out the stands. It's cool if you like snow, but that's why I moved away from the Great Lakes and move down to the Sunshine State.
Good man.
Yeah, I don't like that snow. But I think one of the big matchups in this game, I mean, you got to look at what the Seahawks have been doing on offense. DK Metcalf had a huge coming out party in the wild card game.
Absolutely.
That team going up against that passing defense, the Packers are 14th against the pass, 23 against the run, and the Seahawks are very good running the football. So I think that's going to be a big matchup there, is Seattle's offense versus Green Bay's defense, because you know what Aaron Rodgers can do on the offensive side for the Packers.
Oh, absolutely. But I think the big thing with Seattle is that a lot of that rushing offense is with players that are not there right now. Now, they've been able to get Marshawn Lynch going a little bit. Robert Turbin has been able to have some turns in there as well. But I don't know if it's something you want to rely on. It's really always going to end up coming down to Russell Wilson being able to get the ball, get it vertical to Tyler Lockett, get it vertical to DK, which we know what DK can do. And he's an absolute burner who is so physical. You can double cover him and he can still catch the ball. He proved it last week against Philadelphia Eagles. So being able to guard DK Metcalf is going to be a huge problem, I feel like, in this game. It's so hard to pick this game, though, and it's very difficult. Who do you got in this game?
I'm going to take the Seahawks in a nail biter, and I'm talking nail. But this game could go to overtime. But I think this is going to be a somewhat, not like a shootout, but I think this will be like a 24-21 type game. Seahawks go on the road in the snow, in the cold weather, and Russell Wilson, he's as efficient as can be, I think, as a quarterback. And I think that's going to end up proving to be the X factor in this game.
I really want to pick the Seahawks here. I really do, but it's so hard to count out Aaron Rodgers in these type of pressure situations with a somewhat improved running game. I don't know. It's just hard to pick it, and I've wrestled with this one all day, but I can't ignore my feelings. Seattle Seahawks are going to take this 28-27, scoring a late touchdown to win the game.
I thought you were going the other direction.
See, I'm good at tricking people sometimes.
So, yeah, history is not on the side of the Seahawks.
It's really not.
Is. So, this season, the Seahawks are 8-1 on the road, including the wild card win they just had. But they've lost 8 straight at Lambeau Field and are 1-9 all time at Lambeau Field. Russell Wilson is 0-3. He's 0-3 at Lambeau.
1-3 sounds nice, though.
6 interceptions, 3 touchdowns. Not great playing at Lambeau, but you also got to look at the run game that they have. I mean, Marshawn Lynch was a little bit of a factor, but I think that run game, that run game is going to be a little bit more of an X factor here, because you have to rely on it, especially if it's cold, it's snowy, if you can't see or can't throw the football. You got to rely on that ground game, and they have one of the best in the NFL.
Yeah, the 4th best rushing offense in the league, 137.5 yards a game, and has been able to help them contribute to having one of the 8th best offense overall, 374 yards a game, 9th in scoring, 25 points. So the offense is definitely there. The big thing is going to be keeping down Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers does play well at home. This is a late winter game now that you're having in the frozen tundra with an offense that's going to be moving a ball against a defense that's 22nd in points, 26th in yards, and is allowing over 250 passing yards a game, over 100 rushing yards a game, almost 400 yards a game, and 25 points. It's hard to see that bounce, but I just feel like, I don't know. Something tells me not to ignore my gut with this. And with
the gut tells you to go with Seahawks.
It tells me to go with Seahawks. Russell Wilson is going to win this game for the Seahawks. Just watch. Mark my words.
We'll see what happens.
I can't ignore it. But we got to pay the light bill. Because, we're doing a nighttime kind of show. It takes a lot of money to
These lights get bright. They're hot.
Yeah. You might want to put a hat on. It might actually leave some type of burn.
I might get a sunburn. I might get a sunburn over here. It's nighttime in the middle of winter in Florida, but I'm getting a sunburn right now.
I just can't with you. I just can't with you sometimes. I just can't. But we'll be right back. Just make sure to stay with us because we're going to go and dive into a little bit of NBA, NHL. No MLB this week, sadly, even though we will be touching on some huge news that came out of that next week. So definitely make sure to stay with us. We'll be right back.
The following support and sponsor Podcast City Network.
City Limits Tap Room, sports bar in DeLand, Florida, has brew on tap, serve food, the grilled cheese is excellent. For upcoming events, check out City Limits Taproom on Facebook.com/City Limits Taproom. Atlantic Sounds has thousands of new and used vinyl records and CDs. If they don't have it, they can order it for you. Same location since 1982. For more updates on what's new, check out Atlantic Sounds on Facebook.com/Atlantic Sounds Vinyl. Sports Sanity Customs have worked with organizations from custom embroidering polo shirts to jerseys for your kids' baseball team. They do it all. Armed with state-of-the-art equipment and an in-house design team, they are equipped to take on your next project. Visit their website to learn more, sportsanitycustoms.com. Visit Sports Sanity Customs on Facebook.com/SportsSanityCustoms. 3Count Design offers a wide range of graphic design products, video, photography and other forms of media. Everything from t-shirt designs to websites. Visit Facebook.com/3CountDesign for more. Demo Blast Studios, an explosion of imagination. Original artwork, podcasts, video, apparel and more. Visit DemoBlastStudios.com. Visit Demoblast Studios on Facebook.com/Demoblast Studios, the best family entertainment pro wrestling show in the state of Kentucky. Kentucky's Own Wrestling brings quality family vintage wrestling to a town near you. Kentucky's Own Wrestling offers a ladies division in wrestling and a training school. Kentucky's Own Wrestling is the current longest running Southern promotion. Visit Facebook.com/Somerset Kentucky's Own Wrestling. All supporters and sponsors are brought to you by Podcast City Network.
And we are back here on Final Score with Chris and Craig in the special nighttime edition. So, got some great sports to talk about because there's been a lot of things happening in the world of the NHL.
Yeah, we got to talk about the hometown Tampa Bay Lightning. Recently, over this last week, both CBS and Sports Illustrated released their weekly power rankings, and both of them had Tampa Bay ranked 13, but this week they moved them up 7 spots to number 6.
Interesting.
You like the move? Think they got it right?
Honestly, given how they've been playing recently, I do, because they're currently on a 9-game winning streak, are second in the Atlantic Division with 56 points, 26, 13, and 4. Been looking absolutely great these past games. Been kind of dominant. They this past week alone were 3-0. They beat the Carolina Hurricanes 3-1, beat Vancouver 9-2, and blanked to the Arizona Coyotes last night 4-0. So this team, I think, maybe is starting to get back into its swagger that it was able to capture last season.
Yeah, and they've moved themselves into, like you said, second in that Atlantic Division. I mean, yeah, having that last few games they've had against they're winnable games. I mean, Carolina's a great team. Vancouver's been playing pretty well, and Arizona has been kind of up and down, but they've been on the uptick this year. But I mean, what you got to look at is the fact that you can get the production back from Nikita Kucherov. He's got 49 points, which leads the team. He's got 32 assists, which also leads the team. And his plus minus is at 13. I'd say that's a pretty good reason why this team is coming back to the form that they saw last year.
Absolutely. He's been able to absolutely kill it, and it's been great what they've been able to do. And they've had a lot better goaltending as well. So just seeing everything they've been able to do, being able to capitalize on the penalty kills, being able to keep goals down, being able to be productive offensively. These are the things you need to be able to capture what they did last season, because we remember how they started the season. It was an absolute train wreck. Nobody thought that after what happened that, oh man, are they going to come out and do the same thing? And they just fell flat on their face. But now they've been able to rebound, like we said. 9-game winning streak currently, has won 10 of their last 13. So it's crazy to see what they've been able to capture, and have been able to do it dominantly. They've been able to hold a lot of these teams to a rough average of about 2 goals a game. So it's been able to crazy what they've been able to do in this latest run.
Yeah, one of the big games against the Canucks earlier when they won 9-2, rookie Carter God,
man,
we butchered these names so bad. Verhaeghe.
We do apologize
Carter
to
Verhaeghe.
any of y'all.
Carter Verhaeghe, rookie, scored his first career hat trick that night. When you get production from guys like that, from your rookies, that's invaluable. I mean, especially when they're trying to get back on track. Verhaeghe, Tyler Johnson, Steven Stamkos, Alex Killorn, Nikita Kucherov, and Eric Cernak all scored in the second period alone.
Yeah,
they
so
scored
crazy.
6 goals in that period alone. Just shows you the firepower that this team has and they have the capability of doing. They're in a good position now, and they've got coming up over the next week. They've got 5 games coming up, including tomorrow night. They're on the road for 4 of those 5 games, so
Yes.
it's a bit of a tough road trip, but they do get a lot of these games are winnable. Flyers, Devils, Kings all should be wins. The Wild and the Jets, they should go at least 4-1 all week.
Yeah, at least 4-1, losing to the Flyers. I love where your mind's at. I love where your mind's at.
I was thinking the Jets, but all right.
But we'll definitely see how it works out because these definitely are all winnable games for the Lightning, and the Lightning been getting on a really good roll. So, hey, if you're a Lightning fan, now's the time to get back watching. But there's been a lot happening in the NHL overall. Just a lot of great hockey, a lot of great teams that have been able to start separating themselves from the pack to get themselves into a much better position for the playoffs. Because we're starting to get a little deeper into the season here. A lot of things are going to be happening, and I think it's time to look at some of the standings. Don't you think?
Yeah, starting in that Atlantic division, we already mentioned that the Tampa Bay Lightning are second now in the division. They're only following the Boston Bruins, who are 26-8-11, 63 points, which, is second. It's second in the Eastern Conference and tied for second overall. Over the last week, they've had a bit of a rough stretch. I mean, the Boston Bruins are on 5-1-4 in their last 10, 2-game win streak, but they have lost games against the Oilers, Blue Jackets, and Devils. 3 in a row over the last week. So that's something that you really don't want to see that out of Boston because those are games they should be winning.
Definitely, but the big thing I think that still helps them is that they still have great offensive production and a great goal and great goaltending because they are still at a plus 34 differential, which is best in the Eastern Conference. So definitely going to be interesting. But you know what? Just a little note for Tampa.
And have allowed the lowest goals scored this year.
Yes, 117, but Tampa Bay Lightning are plus 33 right behind Boston.
Right behind them. And speaking of right behind those top 2 teams, the Maple Leafs, Panthers, and Sabres all sitting right there, and they're all within a few points of each other. Maple Leafs have 54 points, Panthers have 51, and the Sabres have 45. 2 of those teams, the Maple Leafs and Panthers, are on the uptick. Maple Leafs 7-1-2 in their last 10. Panthers are 6-4 in their last 10. But the Sabres taking a dip. They're down 3-7 in their last 10 games.
Yeah, rounding out the Atlantic Division, the Montreal Canadiens, Ottawa Senators, and your Detroit Red Wings.
Red Wings.
I can't help it.
Yes, Elmer Fudd on set.
Elmer Fudd all day. So the Canadiens are 1-8-1, losing 8 straight, absolutely tanking. No idea what's going on with Montreal at this point. And Ottawa, not much better. 5 straight losses, 2-5-3 in their last 10. And your Detroit Red Wings.
Yeah, we got it right.
Had to really think about that one.
It doesn't
2-8-0 in their last 10.
It doesn't help when they lose 6 straight games over the last, and then they won previous 2, and then they lost like 10 straight. It doesn't really help. But on the bright side, they're playing Ottawa right now at home in the second period, and they're up 2-1.
Oh, let's not get too excited.
Hey, we might win a game. Woo! Let's go.
Oh, my goodness. Anyways, in the Metropolitan Division.
Last place.
You love that last place. Anyways, the Metropolitan Division, we have the league-leading Washington Capitals, who are currently 30-10-5 with 65 points at this point in the season. They did just lose the game, but they are 6-4 in their last 10. Playing absolutely amazing hockey. 13-4-4 at home, not too bad, but they got 17 wins on the road. Great stuff.
Yeah, their last loss was at the Flyers, your Flyers.
That's right.
But coming off of 3 straight wins, they beat the Senators, Sharks, and Hurricanes. They've been kind of up and down. They haven't really gotten a whole lot of win streaks put together, but they're not losing too many games in a row either. The biggest losing streak they've had over the last like 20-30 games has been 2 games before they get back on a win streak. Right. So, I mean, that's what you're looking for if you're trying to win the division, lead the division. You can't be stringing together too many losses. So they've been able to do a great job in that department and make sure that they're not squandering this league-leading opportunity, because if you want to try to get that trophy for the most points in the league, and they've got a very slim margin right now.
Very, very slim. But right behind them is the New York Islanders and the Pittsburgh Penguins, both with 57 points apiece. Islanders 27-12-3. The Penguins 26-12-5. Both teams are currently on winning streaks. Penguins, though, 7-2-1 in their last 10. But the Islanders a little bit more 500, 5-4-1 in theirs.
Next two teams after that, we got the Hurricanes and the Flyers, both sitting at 52 points.
Woo!
And both are about pedestrian over the last 10 games, 5-5 for the Hurricanes, 5-4-1 for the Flyers. Hurricanes, though, I mean, they can't get win streaks put together. They just came off a win against the Flyers, then lost two before that, then won 2, lost 3, won 3. You get the idea.
Yeah.
They can't put together the amount of wins without the comparable amount of losses behind it. So if they want to try to make a push for the playoffs like they did last year, you got to start stringing together more W's than you do L's.
Yeah, same with the Flyers. They've been having little stretches where they can win some games and then they lose some games. Then they win some games and they lose some games. So it gets kind of dismal watching it over and over. But at the end of the day, that's what's landed them where they are. But right behind them, the Columbus Blue Jackets, the New York Rangers, and the New Jersey Devils. Devils falling way behind. I think they are one of only about 4 teams that have third in the 30-point bracket or less in points, have not been able to get it done whatsoever. Currently on a 3-game losing streak and negative 42 score differential, which is worse than the entire conference.
Yeah, they've been a monstrous tank job.
Second worst.
Yeah, they've been a monstrous tank job. They play tomorrow at the Capitals, but they're on a 3-game lose streak. They did win the 3 previous, but I mean, over the last 30 games, they had a 6-game losing streak where most of those were on the road. So I mean, you gotta try to find a bright spot here. So I think they're gonna try to sell some pieces at the deadline, maybe get rid of a few guys. But I mean, you're still trying to build towards the future. You got the number 1 draft pick that's still, he's very, very young. You got some time.
Yeah, definitely a lot that could happen. But shifting gears on over to the Western Conference, the St. Louis Blues, 63 points, leading the conference, are defending awesome champion Stanley Cups. Dude, St. Louis Blues are awesome. I'm sorry, I'm getting excited.
Last year was not a fluke for them.
It was not a fluke. And you know what? I thought maybe it would be, but I'm so happy to see them still going.
A lot of people thought it would be, myself included. I mean, but they had previously over the last couple of weeks, they had a 8-game win streak before losing a few games, but they are, pretty comfortably at the top of that division right now. 63 points. Right behind them, the Dallas Stars at 56 points. They themselves are on a big win streak. 7-3 in their last 10 and 6 straight right now with wins over the Ducks, Kings, Red Wings, Predators, Coyotes. They're playing all the bad teams right now.
Stars is absolutely dominating.
But they did beat the Avalanche about a week and a half ago. So
yeah, and that's why the Avalanche are number 3 right behind them. So, that's why you get that. But the Winnipeg Jets, the Nashville Predators, Minnesota Wild, and Chicago Blackhawks round it all out. These teams all in various positions, all running roughly about 500. But it's been interesting to see a lot of these teams have not been making a lot of headway. It just seems like they keep floating around in this little bracket. I feel like St. Louis Blues and the Dallas Stars and even the Colorado Avalanche are really starting to separate themselves. Winnipeg, I feel like, is still kind of hanging in, but it's just, I think we're going to start seeing a big separation in this division.
Yeah, in this division, I think you're going to start seeing that. Nashville had high expectations. They're not really meeting those. Wild and Blackhawks, they're going to be near the bottom. It's really going to come down to 5 teams trying to push for those 3 spots.
Absolutely.
And who's going to come out? It's looking like Blue Stars Avalanche right now, but I mean, watch out. But speaking of the hotly contested divisions, no division is more hotly contested right now than the Pacific Division.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you look at the top 5 teams, they're all within 4 points of each other.
4 points. Absolute craziness. The Arizona Coyotes, 54 points. Vegas Golden Knights, 54 points. Edmonton Oilers, 53 points. And then, of course, you have the Calgary Flames, 53 points. Vancouver Canucks, 50 points. It's absolutely madness in the NHL.
Yeah, it's been absolutely crazy in that division. A couple of teams are on the uptick. Of course, the Flames and Oilers both on multiple game win streaks. Coyotes, Golden Knights, those 2 teams, they are near the top, but they've been pretty pedestrian their last 10 games. So this is going to be, I think, the most interesting division of the remainder of the season in the NHL because you've got those 5 teams, and really even the Sharks are so talented that they could make a run and get back into that. You're talking about 6 teams for 3 spots in one division. This could get really fun really quick. Yeah, for the NHL.
Yeah, you're talking about the top 6 being separated by 10 points. There's so much that could happen. There's still enough time left for so much to shuffle around. And like you said, if San Jose gets back into it, they could really do some damage. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this is going to play out the rest of the season. But, man, NHL's getting exciting right now. Yeah,
it's the best time of the year for all the sports because you've got the championships and playoffs and the football, and then you've got – baseball has their free agency right now. If you're a baseball fan, spring training's right around the corner.
And scandals left and right.
Scandals left and right if you like the juicy drama. But NHL, NBA are in the meat of their season. Trading deadline right around the corner for both leagues. And it's a lot of fun in those leagues right now.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be very interesting. But a lot of other interesting things going on in the world of sport. And that is in none other than the NBA, the Orlando Magic. Get a little bit of work done lately. Gotta say, I'm pretty impressed.
They're getting some love. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Both the NBA.com and ESPN Power Rankings, which are released on Mondays, they have them ranked 15th, like right near the middle of the pack. But
I'll take it.
What's that?
You'll
take the middle of the road.
Hey, I'll take it right now, given what we've been dealing with ever since we lost Dwight Howard. So honestly, it's kind of interesting for them to be clawing back in, even though I feel like. I don't know. I really don't like these city uniforms, though. The whole orange and
so you
gray
would like to be in playoff purgatory, which means that you can't be.
I'm not saying I want to stay here.
That's what you were saying, though.
Well, I'm just saying it's nice to be back into some type of relevance because
I got you.
At the end of the day,
I get that.
Yeah. You would understand as a Detroit Piston fan now, right?
We don't know what that means in Detroit. Did you know? Oh my God! Wait 1 second. I have to tell you about this.
Okay.
I found this stat.
Bear with us, fans.
Yeah, so go ahead. Continue. I'll bring it up first.
While you're bringing that up, though, the Magic have been on a tear, currently second in the Southeast Division. Do hold the number 7 seed currently in the East and are currently 18-20, 5-1 in their last 6 games and have been just getting it done.
Yep. I got it. All right. So listen to this.
All right. What's this?
The 226 losses suffered by the 4 Detroit teams in the calendar year of 2019 are not only the most in Detroit sports history, but also the most by any city or market in any calendar year in the history of North American professional sports.
How do you feel about that?
This is the way.
Oh, my God.
This is the way of Detroit sports. This is what we got to deal with.
You know what? Should we just scrub Detroit from the face of the earth? Like, should we just wipe it away?
Only if Ohio goes with us.
I think we can make an accord.
That's fair, right?
Here.
That's a fair trade.
I think we can make an accord.
I think we can do it. Let's do it. If we're gonna do that, Ohio's got to go with us.
Anyways, in the last 5 games, the Magic have been playing great, beating the Wizards on the road 122-101, beat the Heat 105-85 in a surprising home win, and then ended up losing to the Jazz 109-95. But they ended up beating the Nets and the Wizards in back-to-back games at home 101-89 and 123-89 respectively, really showing that hey, they can still score some points. Don't count them out.
Yeah, that's the one thing this team really needs to improve on is they need to play better on the offensive end. They need guys that can score. We know they can play defense. They're one of the best efficient defenses in the league. Mm-hmm. So they just need to be able to score points. They are playing tonight, actually. They're about to tip off right now out in Phoenix, which starts a 6-game road trip for them. So it's about to get really rough. And we were talking about injuries that the Magic have been sustaining. You got any info on that?
Oh, a lot of info, and it hasn't been pretty. Al-Farouq Amino is now out for the season.
Not much of a loss.
They are going to be applying for a disabled player exemption along with Jonathan Isaac. They have ruled him out.
That's
also
a big loss
for the rest of the season. So 2 players out. Definitely going to be interesting where they go from here. We know DJ Augustine and Aaron Gordon are also out for tonight's games.
Out for tonight, yep.
Yeah, so they've been dealing with injuries in other places as well, which obviously will not last as long, but really could hamper their chances to get more wins to kind of build upon where they are right now in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, you really got to feel for Jonathan Isaac. I mean, he's had such a good year. He's been really improving, finally kind of coming into his own. And seeing a lot of improvement, and to have a season-ending injury like that, never a good sign, especially just for him as a player.
Absolutely.
You don't want to see that out of a young piece of your future.
No, you definitely don't, and it's definitely a huge blow. But now the Magic are going to have to try and rely on the other pieces of their core. Vucevic, they're going to require Fournier needs to step up at this point. Markelle Fultz is trying to develop into more. So it's going to be interesting. And, of course, Aaron Gordon needs to find more consistency. So if they can get these pieces together and start getting something going, maybe. But we know the trade deadline's coming up. Maybe they can find something there.
Well, I've been saying it for a couple of years now. I think they should get rid of Aaron Gordon. Now, Aaron Gordon, he's in the second year of a 4-year, $80 million contract, which isn't terrible comparably to other players in the NBA. But when he's still only 24 years old, but when he's averaging only 13 points a game, 7.5 rebounds, and he's shooting career lows from the field and from three, so you got to do something. You got to find something for him. Obviously, this is not going to be the right fit for him.
This is not the way?
This is not the way. This is not the way.
I have to agree. I think Aaron Gordon at this point is highly overpaid for what he's actually producing, and maybe it's time at this point to try and offload this contract and be able maybe to take on some good players or try to get some picks and try and rebuild this team back up a little bit. I feel given the injuries, they needed players at this point, and you need to try and find shooters, anybody that can help you on offense. You have Vuce up in the paint. You need good outside reliable perimeter shooting, or at least someone who can come up with a good mid-range jumper to be able to start getting some points going for this team, because this team ranks horrifically. I mean, horrifically when it comes to points per game. Right now, averaging just below 104 points a game.
103.7. It's not good.
Oh, yeah, and that is worst in the Eastern Conference. And even the New York Knicks average more points than us.
Yeah, it's actually worse than the NBA, too.
Okay, I was trying to be nice.
I know you're trying to be nice, but I mean, when you're averaging less points than the Knicks and the Cavaliers, who have also been a dumpster fire right now,
yes, they are.
At least you can hang your hat on the defense, because that's what's good. But if you really want to make this team better, you have to, and they haven't had this for years. You need to have a lead guard that is going to be able to not only be the focal point of the offense, but going to be able to carry the load offensively if needed, because we've seen it's very needed here in Orlando.
Absolutely. But
the problem is that you're not going to find that in the trade market. I mean, the one big story that's been out there, the rumor is that there might the Magic were willing to make a swap Aaron Gordon for D'Angelo Russell, which would be great. That'd be a great trade for the Magic, but the Warriors don't want it for obvious reasons. I mean, when all players get healthy, you got D'Angelo Russell, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, all on one backcourt. I mean, I don't blame the Warriors, and apparently it's been according to what was it? NBC? I think it was NBC Sports. The representative for the team said a hard no. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, it'd be wonderful if it did, but obviously you don't want to give up the talent of D'Angelo Russell just for Aaron Gordon, given also what he's doing this season. So,
right,
they're going to have to find something at some point. When you have the worst offense but the best defense, that's not really going to do much for you. You got to find a little bit more consistency and have a more balanced approach. So it's definitely going to be interesting going forward to see what the Magic are going to be able to do. Hopefully they do something in the trade window, because the trade deadline is coming.
Yeah,
but we'll see what happens.
There's a few players they could target. Now, whether these players might be available or not, this is just me completely speculating of teams that could be trading some players away. The first one I think would be a great addition is Pelicans point guard Drew Holiday. That team was for some reason expecting that they were going to make the playoffs this year, and it's not going too well. They did not get off to a good start. Drew Holiday is a veteran. He knows how to score. He can play both ends of the court. And that would be, I think, the number one choice if you're the Orlando Magic and somebody's available. A big one to help with getting butts in seats. Pistons Derrick Rose.
That would
Derrick
be bad.
Rose is having a resurgence of a year. Now, he's not playing starters minutes, and you have to understand that. But I think if you pair him with DJ Augustine, those two don't play full minutes by themselves, but those two together could give you a really nice 1-2 punch at point guard for either unit. First unit, second unit, doesn't matter. So I think those are two really big options right away that you could try to shoot for if you're the Orlando Magic.
Yeah, it's definitely realistic, and I definitely could see Derrick Rose, given the fact that Detroit seems open to trade just about anybody right now, given what we were seeing right now with Drummond. So it's going to be interesting going forward. Hopefully the Magic will try and do something rather than just let the trade deadline go by, which they have done in years past. They'll just kind of float with what they have, hope it works, and see what happens.
And that's unfortunately not a winning formula for NBA franchises. I mean, you got to go all in. You got to push all your chips in, and you got to go all in to try to win an NBA championship. And that's what the Toronto Raptors just did.
Raptors?
The Raptors. The Toronto Raptors. That's what the Raptors just did, as they went all in and tried to get Kawhi Leonard. And they knew Kawhi Leonard was going to walk, but they went and did it anyway.
Yeah,
and that's what you got to do. If you want to win a championship, you've got to sacrifice some things. I mean, that's why I've been saying, I'm glad they brought back Nick Vucevic, because he's a much better player than Aaron Gordon. But Aaron Gordon's got to go. No offense to him, but he's got to go. He's got to go.
Yeah, absolutely agree. There's no way that you can be able to be this inconsistent and be able to have this lucrative of a contract. You got to produce. When they throw money at you, you take ball, put in basket, make things happen.
It's more so, I think, a value thing for the Magic. He's when Aaron Gordon's good, he's good. Mm-hmm. But is he the right piece for a championship pedigree for that team right now? I don't think so, because you've already got Nick Vucevic, who can stretch the floor and play in the post and rebound and play some defense.
Absolutely.
But you've got to look at the other players around that. You've got essentially no lead guard, no star lead guard. Even your off guards, you've got Terrence Ross coming out the bench, super streaky. Same thing with Fournier, really streaky. I mean, you don't have a solid starting lineup, so you got to solidify it, and the only way you can do it is by giving up assets to get others.
Maybe we can go get Chris Paul. Isn't he available?
I mean, surprisingly playing really well in OKC.
I'm saying maybe we can see
a lot of people thought he would just kind of give up and not try to want to get released or traded. Much like what Kevin Love's doing in Cleveland right now.
Yeah, how about that great passing by Kevin Love in those games? Yeah,
I'm all for it, because clearly, and this is not the first time I've heard or seen these little chirps, that Colin Sexton is not a very high IQ basketball player from what I've seen and heard. So he was just mad that he wasn't moving the ball, and it was kind of comical. But I mean,
well, it's coming from the same coach that thinks they're, thugs. I mean, slugs. So,
come on, man, lay off John Beilein. John Beilein is a gentleman and a scholar. All right.
Oh, at least he went and apologized, and they all believed him. So
Well, yeah, he apologized because he knew no one would believe that he called them slugs.
He said, "Hey, they were playing sluggishly slow. Okay,
sluggishly slow.
Sluggishly slow.
Seashells by the seashore."
I'm not going to fall into this trap. All right.
Gotcha.
With the Toronto Raptors. Anyways, but a lot of stuff great stuff has been happening in the NBA. A lot of still great teams that have been able to really make some noise, and it's been really interesting. But hopefully the Orlando Magic can keep rising. Currently 7th in the Eastern Conference, so we'll definitely see how it ends up playing out. We are only 38 games in, so there's a lot of basketball left.
Lots of basketball left, but they did jump Brooklyn and kind of expand that lead a little bit. Brooklyn sitting there at the 8th spot. They've lost 7 straight. They haven't had Kyrie Irving since I think November.
Roughly, yeah.
Roughly, and obviously they are just going in a really, really downward direction.
Yeah, it's not pretty.
It's really ugly there right now. So you have no idea what kind of state that franchise is in. But at the top, Bucks, Heat, Celtics, Raptors, those have pretty much stayed the same since last week. Same thing with the Sixers, Pacers. I think the top 6 is going to stay just like that for the most of the year. The only thing that might swap is maybe you'll see the Heat and Celtics swap a little bit back and forth.
I can see that.
But, I mean, for the most part, the East is pretty cut and dry. The only thing you're needing is who's going to be 7 and who's going to be 8.
Yeah, that's really what's going to come down to. We know who the clear-cut top 6 are. So I feel like you have probably, I don't know, we'll say 5 to 6 teams or so kind of ruffling around for those last 2 spots. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how a lot of that's going to play out. But definitely going to be interesting. I think Orlando, though, will squeak in. with Brooklyn, it's really hard to tell. If anything else happens to Kyrie, what are you going to do? And you're already without Durant for the season, so it's like,
right.
What do you really do in that case? So it's going to be interesting to see how a lot of that plays out. But in the Western Conference, LA Lakers, Denver Nuggets, LA Clippers, Houston Rockets, I feel definitely are the class. But the Utah Jazz have been pushing to try and make it a 5-team race for the top here, all separated by just 5 games. So definitely very interesting to see how the top of the West could end up playing out.
Yeah, and you got your surprise teams like the Mavericks and Thunder right there at 6 and 7. I mean, those teams, no one thought they were going to take a step forward. I mean, maybe the Mavericks. A lot of people thought that the pairing of Porzingis and Doncic would be the future of that franchise, which they are.
Absolutely.
But I think the Thunder is probably the most surprising. I mean, 8-2 in their last 10. They're on a roll. And you mentioned the Jazz. They're on a 7-game win streak. They have the longest win streak right now in the NBA.
Yeah, they're 9-1 in their last 10, playing absolutely out of their mind. So it's been absolutely wonderful to see what they've been able to do, because we didn't know really what they were going to be like coming into this season after what they did last season. Didn't know if there was going to be a little bit of a taper off, what was really going to happen. So great to see them sitting there at number 5.
And then rounding out the Western Conference down there, you got the San Antonio Spurs still hanging on to life, but don't look now. The Memphis Grizzlies have climbed out of the cellar, and they are sitting at the 9 spot. They are they've won 4 of their last 5, 5 of their last 7, and 6 of their last 8.
Crazy.
6 of the last 9, I'm sorry.
I'll say math's a little off there.
A little bit, yeah. But, I mean, look at what Ja Morant's been doing. He's leading the team in points and assists, 17 points a game, just over 6.5 assists a game. But some of the teams they've won over this stretch, or they've beaten over this stretch, they beat the Clippers the other night on the road, 140-114.
Yeah, which is absolutely dominant considering who the Clippers are putting on that court. But when you look at all this as a whole, there's so many teams right here I feel like can make the push for this last spot. And I think that's really what it's going to come down to. If Oklahoma City can keep playing the way they are, they're pretty much going to solidify that the top 7 in the West is who's going to make the playoffs. And then it's going to come down to whoever can snag that very last spot, which I got to give credit to San Antonio. They have been holding on to that as hard as they absolutely can.
Yeah, and they've been looking to shop around DeMar DeRozan, but it's kind of tough because he's
Orlando.
He's in the last year of his deal.
Orlando.
And he could walk at the end of the year. But DeMar DeRozan is not a guy I'm going to sell the house for, like a Kawhi Leonard. Like,
I'm not going to give up Aaron Gordon for him, maybe, but maybe.
But that's what they're going to want. You know what I mean?
I would say Jonathan Isaac, but now he's hurt.
I wouldn't trade Jonathan Isaac for DeMar DeRozan.
I mean, we need some kind of offense, and it's not coming from him.
I would trade Evan Fournier or Terrence Ross for him.
Yeah, there we go. I'd do that.
I would trade one of those two.
That's a good trade. But yeah, looking at it though, you still have Portland Trailblazers, who Carmelo Anthony's been playing wonderful for. Even sunk a game winner not too long ago, playing really great basketball.
A couple days ago, actually.
Yeah, and then you also have the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Sacramento Kings, and even the Phoenix Suns kind of hanging around right there, only 2 games out of that last spot. So really, really tight right here for that 8th spot.
Yeah, of that grouping, I mean, you got to look at the Blazers. I mean, for all the firepower they have, Lillard and McCollum are both averaging over 20 points yet again.
Oh, yeah.
Carmelo Anthony's averaging 16 points a game. And you mentioned that game winner he's got. So, I mean, this team should be a lot better than their 16-23 record, but they're trending in the downward direction. They're 3-7 in their last 10. I mean, they're not playing good basketball right now. They've lost against teams like the Knicks, the Suns, the Pelicans over the last week and a half to 2 weeks. So, like, you can't lose those types of games if you want to be where you were last year and try to make a deep run in the playoffs.
I absolutely agree, and they even lost just recently to the team right behind them in the Minnesota Timberwolves. And Minnesota's been on a little bit of a surge, currently on a 1-game winning streak, 5-5 in their last 10. But they're trying to build upon what they have right now, currently 15-22. Portland, though, like you said, is falling, and I think they could end up falling further and further if they can't find more answers, because the biggest problem they have right now is on defense, where they're actually allowing 113 points a game. So they need to try and find some kind of answer there, because they definitely do have some offense, but you got to have a defense to go with it. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how the Western Conference is going to end.
I think the Blazers they'll hang there right around the 8th, because, I mean, when you have Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum on that team, and you throw in what Carmelo Anthony can still do at his, quote, advanced age in the NBA, I laugh so hard.
Goodness.
Like, I'm not a huge fan of LeBron and his antics and stuff like that, but His tweet game is strong. He was like, but he's washed up. Like, and then he did the same thing with CP3 when he had a monster game recently. And LeBron was tweeting out about it. It was great.
Yeah, it's been some great and funny stuff. But it's definitely gonna be interesting to see how all this will end up shaking out. But to see all the updates and all the great stuff, you have to follow Final Score on social media at PCN Final Score on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Give us a like, give us a follow, leave us a comment, give us a share, invite your friends, do it all, eat a burrito, go to the bathroom, wash your hands though, and definitely make sure that you support Final Score.
Shout your fandom.
Shout your fandom. I like that. Hashtag shout your fandom.
I like it.
We might have to start using that.
So we're
one.
going to make that a hashtag?
Yeah, we got to. Maybe we'll start trending in the Twitterverse.
Hey, maybe. You never know. You never know unless you throw it out there.
Exactly. So definitely make sure that you follow us and leave us a rating. Let us know how we're doing. We'll try to bring the very best that we can. But now it's time for a little bit of sports history.
Starting in January 11th, 1967, San Diego is granted an NBA franchise to be called the Rockets. The franchise then moves to Houston at the 1971-72 season. Man, didn't last very long.
San Diego's not having a lot of luck when it comes to teams, I feel like.
Man, I feel bad. They need the Chargers back.
They really do. January 11th, 2001, the New York Knicks hold an opponent under 100 points for an NBA record 29th straight game and a 76-75 loss to the Houston Rockets. A streak that snapped a 46-year-old NBA record of 28 straight, set by the Fort Wayne Pistons in 1954-1955.
Throwing it back. And then the Pistons end up breaking that record in their magical run that they had in the mid-2000s just a few years later.
That's right.
January 11th, 2004, just a couple years later, the 4th and 26 play happens where the trailing the Green Bay Packers by 3. The Eagles were trailing the Green Bay Packers by 3.
Not sure what happened with the
in the divisional playoff game. Eagles they had that 4th and 26 on the final drive. Donovan McNabb hits Freddie Mitchell.
That's right.
29 yards, tie the game, go on to win in overtime, 20-17. Classic in Philadelphia Eagle lore.
Yeah, that was an absolutely amazing game, and then we lost the next week to the Carolina Panthers. January 12th, 1958, the NCAA adds the 2-point conversion to football scoring. Crazy, it took us to the 50s.
We've come a long way since then, and they still have the best overtime of all professional football sports.
Yes.
Until the XFL comes up.
Oh yes,
have you seen these rules?
Oh yeah, it's going to be insane.
Oh, they're good.
We'll touch more on that next week.
Yeah, we did share those on our social media pages. So
yes.
Go ahead and check those out. Search XFL. January 13th, 1999, Michael Jordan announces his second retirement just prior to the start of the lockout-shortened 98-99 NBA season. He ends up returning for a third time to the Washington Wizards in 2001.
Yeah, that seemed kind of pointless. January 13th, 2008, and I promise the Orlando Magic were good at one time, as the Orlando Magic knocked down a then NBA record 23 three-pointers in 37 attempts, good for 62%, as Jameer Nelson goes 5 for 5 from beyond the arc as the Magic beat the Sacramento Kings 139-107.
Oh, that was the year.
Yes, it was.
Not like those were the days, because it was just 1 year for the Magic. That was the year.
I hate you so much right now.
Oh, I know. No, shut up. You love me. January 16th, 1966, Chicago is granted an NBA franchise to be called the Bulls. They become the third NBA franchise in the city after the Chicago Stags, who were there from 46 to 50, and the Chicago Packers / Zephyrs, which is now the Washington Wizards.
Interesting history there. January 17th, 2012, LeBron James becomes the youngest player in NBA history to record 20,000 career points during the Miami Heat's 92-75 victory over Golden State. James, at that time, 28 years, 17 days, as he passed Kobe Bryant, who was 29 years, 122 days. Awesome stuff. And that is sports history.
Moving on to Give or Go, I'm going to toss the first one up to you. How about that?
All right, we can definitely
I'm going to toss this first one up to you. It's the Tom Brady watch.
That's right.
Tom Brady thanks fans for his support in an Instagram post, and he says, quote, "I know I still have more to prove." Give or go.
I'm definitely going to give on this one because this, I think, is going to become an important theme in this offseason. Where is Tom Brady going to go? Because he also stated that in a previous segment that he is not going to give New England a discount whatsoever. Robert Kraft is going to have to come up with some money if he expects to keep the all-star quarterback known as Tom Brady, TB12 himself.
The GOAT.
The GOAT. And at the end of the day, there's a lot of teams that would vie for his services. I think one, LA Chargers could be one. Miami Dolphins could be another. A lot of teams that might want to throw a little bit of money. Even Terrell Owens was trying to lobby for him to come to Dallas, which I don't know why you would. You got Dak Prescott, but you know. But hey, if Dak Prescott can't get signed to a contract and happens to walk away in free agency, Tom Brady to Dallas?
Possible. I mean, it's possible.
There's a lot of things that could happen with this, but it's going to be interesting going forward because I feel like no matter what, Tom Brady is going to be coming back next season.
Yeah, this is unfortunately going to turn into one of those sad stories of the player knows like he wants to continue playing. Mm-hmm. It's up to the franchise. Do they want to let him continue playing? I mean, you got to think of Brett Favre, Joe Montana.
Yep.
Now they had success. Don't get me wrong.
Right. Donovan McNabb even.
Donovan McNabb tried to come back.
And most famous, Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning also was very successful in his comeback.
He was, but you know, it's Peyton Manning.
But
so.
yeah, I mean, the Colts didn't want him because they didn't know if he was ever play again. Mm-hmm. This is a little bit different. This is a guy who is literally in the twilight of his career, like Montana and like with Brett Favre, who wanted to keep playing, and the Packers were like, nah, we got this guy here we really like.
I feel the Packers would be more realistic to the situation because at least with Montana, he was also coming off an injury. So
this is true.
They didn't want to take that chance, and he ended up going to Kansas City. But Brett Favre, I think, is the only really player you can really compare this situation to because Brett Favre, year after year with Green Bay, didn't want to do it. Green Bay still had Aaron Rodgers waiting in the wings. We know how well that worked out for Green Bay. But Brett Favre even found success. It wasn't with the Jets, but when he got to Minnesota, the hated Minnesota Vikings, he was still able to turn that into success all the way to an NFC Championship game against the New Orleans Saints, which they sadly lost. But at the end of the day, Tom Brady, I think, could still be extremely serviceable for a team. Just depends upon what team. That's going to be the question.
Yeah, it depends. I mean, now if you're the Patriots, you got to look where to go from here because they gave up Jimmy Garoppolo. That was going to be the guy. Mm-hmm. Who do you have back there? Jarrett Stidham?
Yes, Stidham out of Auburn.
Yeah, and is he the guy? I don't know. I don't think he's on the caliber that Jimmy G was at the same token, you know?
But you know what's funny? I did see a report circulating earlier on ESPN, I believe it was, where Andy Dalton might be interested, Bill Belichick is interested in Andy Dalton possibly coming into New England to maybe be that guy. Because you got to think, if Andy Dalton had good coaching and actually a good team around him and a good franchise, imagine what he could do.
Josh Rosen.
I'm sorry. I think
he could redeem his very short career.
I mean, he really could. I think he's honestly a good quarterback who can make good reads, but when you give him garbage players to play with, what do you expect? And I think he fell into that situation with Arizona, outside of Larry Fitzgerald, and then ended up in that situation in Miami.
Miami's been tough.
Yeah, and Miami's all about Ryan Fitz right now. So we'll definitely see how a lot of that works out, but it doesn't matter. But I'm going to toss the next one to you. Kevin Durant versus the Twitterverse. Give or go.
Oh, my God. Kevin Durant.
Why?
Dude, your ego is so fragile like glass.
Oh, like glass.
It is so bad. He's gone on another Twitter rant, this time against former teammate Kendrick Perkins, but he also gets involved with fans and with other players in the NBA. Like, dude, we get it. Your ego is fragile. Like you can't stand criticism. You can't stand people talking shit to you. Mm-hmm. Ignore them, man. Just ignore them. Like, for real, just ignore them. Have somebody else run your Twitter account if you have to, or your Instagram account. Like, just, a lot of people do it. Stop, man. Just stop. This is not good for your image.
Yeah,
and that's what he cares about.
And let's not forget back in July when he got into it with CJ McCollum as well, when they went back and forth, when CJ McCollum referred to Kevin Durant as soft. So
he is.
And I think he is too. And it's crazy to me that Durant just gets so butthurt. Like, the ultimate butthurt he always has to feel when somebody says anything derogatory about his game, about guys he plays with, anything.
This spat between him and Kendrick Perkins didn't start as a direct shot to Kevin Durant. Mm-hmm. He just said that Russ Westbrook was the greatest Thunder player of all time.
Yeah, he did.
And then his follow-up tweet was that Kevin Durant couldn't do it without Russell Westbrook, so that was probably what started everything.
Yeah, and that was on the night Russell Westbrook was making his return to Oklahoma, or Oklahoma City. So it's, what do you want?
Yeah. Moving on to the next one, another spat, another altercation, if you will, but this one happened on the court. Jimmy Butler versus TJ Warren. Give her a go.
We're going to give on this only slightly just because of how animated it was. And honestly, just because the amount of comedy gold I feel like has come out from Jimmy Butler after this. It's been great. If you did not see what happened, Jimmy Butler and TJ Warren got into a spat during the Indiana Pacers Miami Heat game that took place in Miami recently, to the point where Jimmy Butler was calling out all kinds of things to TJ Warren after a hard foul, and it got out of control quickly. TJ Warren ended up throwing the finger. Jimmy Butler ended up taking to social media afterwards. And said literally, he's not even in my effing league. Like, it was bad. And then turned around and posted a picture of a circled date for March 20th for when they meet again in Indianapolis. So it's bad.
It's a rough situation, but that's part of what I think the NBA. Obviously they don't want physical altercations on the court.
Oh, definitely not.
But I mean, those kind of rivalries help drive viewership.
Absolutely it does, because you want to see those matchups, see how people are going to react, see how things are going to shake down, and it's going to be really interesting. It's going to be really entertaining. But March 20th, watch out. It's going to be wild. But last one, a credentialed media reporter had asked tight end Kyle Rudolph for his game-worn gloves for charity and then turn around and sold them on eBay. Give her a go.
So I wasn't too familiar with this story, but kind of reading a little bit into it, it may or may not be a real member of the media.
And that's the big thing here.
That's the big thing here. So
it wasn't us, we swear.
Because Kyle Rudolph, trust me, we would have some upgrades if we sold that stuff on eBay.
Right.
But Kyle Rudolph said that, quote, a member of the media tricked him into giving him his game-worn gloves. Mm-hmm. But it does have a positive ending here.
That's right.
Rudolph did tweet his disappointment, explaining that the locker room was a, quote, zoo after the game.
Yes.
Gave his gloves, signed them to a, quote, media member who said he used them for charity. But he said they were sold on eBay 3 days later.
Yeah, for $375. So
that's it?
That's it. That is it.
What's everyone getting in a tip for?
But the buyer did reach out and contact tight end Kyle Rudolph and told him that they would take the gloves and they would donate them to the local Minnesota Children's Hospital. So there is some good news come out of this. So they do, and in fact, will end up still going to charity.
If they really wanted to do it, they should put it up in a charity auction, and that money goes to a charity. I love the gesture. What are kids going to do with a pair of signed gloves?
Catch footballs, and never mind. I'm not even going to go ahead with that joke.
I mean, it's great. Like, especially if you give it to a diehard Vikings fan.
Yeah,
it'd be great. But I mean, you could also do even better. But actually, a follow up to this, donations to that hospital started pouring in by the thousands as of Thursday evening last night. More than $14,000 have been donated to this children's hospital, which that right there is the best part of the story.
Absolutely, because you have to be able to help these children. They need all the help they can get, and it's wonderful to see just the outpouring of love, the outpouring of support to be able to turn this into a good story. So, but what's not all that happy and awesome though is we're nearing the end of our episode. Yeah, we're rounding out yet another episode. What is this, 43 for us? 43. Wow, 43. We're getting close to retirement age. It's a little young for retirement. Hey, I want to retire early, okay? But in the week ahead, we have a lot of great games, including the aforementioned and covered NFL Divisional round. Going to be a lot of great games. Make sure you check all of those out this Saturday and Sunday. Great matchups. Going to be great games and determine who's going to make it to the AFC and NFC Conference Championship games. Going to be awesome. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. Of course, we're talking about the College Football Playoff Championship on Monday. Gave you our picks there. Both taking LSU in this matchup. That's gonna be a huge game coming up. But we got some NBA matchups, of course, over the weekend. Excuse me. We got the 76ers at Dallas on Saturday, and then on Sunday we have let's see, what's the biggest one? Probably this.
the Clippers and the Denver Nuggets, 8 o'clock on Sunday. Those are some of the games that are happening over the weekend, some big matchups.
And, of course, you can't forget Orlando, who currently is playing the Phoenix Suns on the road. They will also return Monday to play the Sacramento Kings in Sacramento, 10 o'clock game, so it definitely is going to be a late game, but one that could be winnable. So we'll definitely see what happens for our Orlando Magic.
Yep, and in NHL, Tampa Bay Lightning are in action on Saturday and Sunday in a back-to-back on the road at the Philadelphia Flyers Saturday, at the Devils on Sunday. Other big games in the NHL on Saturday, the Boston Bruins travel to the New York Islanders on Saturday night, as well as Edmonton and Calgary, 10 o'clock on Saturday. That'll be a really good game. And then Sunday, we have Nashville and Winnipeg at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and the Penguins Coyotes at 6 o'clock on Sunday.
And Saturday for college basketball, there's going to be so many games, but the big one everybody's going to be watching is number 4 Baylor traveling to take on number 3 Kansas. Going to be a huge matchup at 1 o'clock on CBS. Definitely make sure you catch that one. It's going to be great.
Yeah, that's going to be a huge matchup. Other ranked teams that are in action on Saturday, number 14 Kentucky is at home against Alabama. Number 16 Villanova is at home against Georgetown. Number 5 Auburn is at home against Georgia. Number 11 Ohio State is at Indiana. Number 15 Dayton is at home against Massachusetts. And you mentioned that top 5 matchup coming up. Let's see. What's on Sunday? There's so many games coming through.
Yeah, there's so many games.
Both Michigan and Michigan State are in action. Michigan's on the road at Minnesota at 1 o'clock, and Michigan State's on the road at Purdue at noon.
Yes, definitely. But sadly, that is the end of our episode. But make sure if you want to keep up on all things Final Score, that you follow us on social media. And it's very easy. All you have to do is go on to Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. And right above my head, search at PCN Final Score. Give us a like, give us a follow, give us a share, send them invites. Get all your friends to watch us because we try to bring the very best that we can. And leave us a rating. Let us know how we're doing because we always try to bring the very best show that we can. And, of course, you got to follow us on all of our myriad of content platforms on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Podbean, Stitcher, and, of course, Google Podcasts. All you have to do is go on and search, keyword, Final Score, right down here, all one word. Find us. Like us, follow us. Please like us. We really try. But either way, check it out. Get all the latest episodes, including this one, episode 43, that will be available within the next day or so. Really just on how my weekend goes. It's going to be crazy. A lot of sports. What can I say?
You're a very busy man.
You know, when you got 4 kids and all the crazy things I do.
And you got to deal with Chris Carnage.
God, Chris Carnage. That guy's an animal. He's an absolute animal. And now that we got the 2-year anniversary of Podcast City Network coming up, it's going to be just absolutely insane. Hopefully he doesn't F5 anybody. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and we're about to have, I think we're working on it.
We're getting there.
We're working on a new set.
That's
working
right.
on a new set.
Yeah, so all this could change eventually. So definitely keep your eyes down. The only way you can is by checking out Final Score. But until next week, when we come back with episode 44, gosh, man, 44. That sounds worse than 43. We'll be back, though. We're going to take some time away. We're going to go watch some sports. So definitely make sure that you check out everything. I'm Chris. That's Craig. And you just watch Final Score. Have a great night.
Podcast City Network.